Remember that sound? Bop it!
Bop it!
Twist it!
Twist it!
Pull it!
Pull it!
For a whole generation, those three commands weren't just instructions from a toy, they were a challenge, a sleepover competition, a test of reflexes that could turn even the calmest kid into a frantic mess in seconds. Few toys from the 1990s became as instantly recognizable as Bop It. It was simple, it was loud, it was addictive, and it was somehow impossible to put down. Now at its peak, Bop It was everywhere. Kids battled for high scores, families passed it around during game nights, friends challenged each other to see who could survive the longest as the commands got faster and faster. It seemed like a toy that could never go away. But like many childhood icons, Bop It eventually lost its place at the center of pop culture. It never completely disappeared, but the craze that once made it a household name slowly faded. So, how did a toy built around just three commands become a worldwide phenomenon, and what happened when the world moved on? This is the rise and fall of Bop It. Now, the story begins in the early 1990s with industrial designer Dan Klitzner. The original idea wasn't actually a toy at all. Klitzner had been watching people use television remotes and came up with a concept for a more interactive controller. His early design was called the Channel Bopper, a remote that used physical actions like twisting, pulling, and bopping to control the television. But the idea never took off, but something about those simple movements stuck with him. Instead of using the actions to control the TV, Klitzner wondered what would happen if the actions became the game itself. So rather than pressing buttons, players would react to commands shouted by the device. And that simple shift changed everything. Klitzner licensed the concept to Hasbro, and after further development, Bop It arrived on store shelves in 1996. Now, the premise couldn't have been simpler. Listen to the command and respond correctly before time runs out. Bop it, twist it, pull it. That's all there was to it. And somehow, that was enough.
Hammer it! Bop it! Hammer it! Twist it! Yeah!
What made Bop It special was how immediate it felt. There were no complicated rules to learn and no setup required. Anyone could pick it up and start playing within seconds, but mastering it, well now that was a different story. The commands became faster and faster, pushing players to their limits until they inevitably made a mistake, and that constant pressure created a perfect loop. Every failure felt unfair, every loss made players want another try. One more game became 5 more games, and 5 more became 20, and the toy quickly became a hit. Now, in an industry where many toys disappear after a single holiday season, Bop It did something unusual. It kept selling, and in fact, sales reportedly improved during its second year, a rare achievement in the toy business. Word of mouth spread rapidly. Kids brought them to school, families played together, sleepovers turned into unofficial Bop It tournaments. And part of its success came from timing. You see, the late 1990s were packed with electronic toys, but most still relied on buttons and screens. Bop It, on the other hand, felt physical. It demanded movement. Players weren't watching something happen, they were actively participating. And just as important was the voice.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it.
Man, that looks easy.
The commands became permanently embedded in the memories of an entire generation. Even people who haven't touched a Bop It in decades can still hear that voice in their heads. And few toys ever developed such an instantly recognizable audio signature. So as the popularity exploded, Hasbro expanded the brand. In 1998, Bop It Extreme arrived. The new version added 2 additional commands, flick it and spin it. The toy itself became larger and more complex, but the core formula remained unchanged. React quickly or lose. And the gamble paid off. Bop It Extreme became another major success and helped transform Bop It from a single toy into a full-blown franchise. And over the years, dozens of variations followed. There were miniature versions, themed versions, and special editions tied to popular characters. Some models introduced motion controls, and others added voice recording features or entirely new command systems. At its peak, Bop It felt less like a toy and more like a cultural phenomenon. The impact stretched beyond toy stores. The toy became so recognizable that it began appearing in television shows and comedy sketches, and one of the most famous examples came from The Simpsons, which featured a parody called Bonk It.
Bonk it, twist it, smack it, whack it, quack it, bonk it, bop it, quack it, twist it, bop it, smack it, whack it, quack it, bonk it.
Now by that point, Bop It had reached a level of popularity where audiences instantly understood the joke. Its influence even spread into music as well. The toy's rhythm and command structure showed up in songs and performances, particularly among artists who had grown up playing it.
Honk it! Shout it! Honk it! Twist it!
Dan Klitzner later referred to this broader influence as bop culture, a sign that the toy had become larger than the product itself. Now, by many estimates, the Bop It line eventually sold more than 30 million units worldwide. It was translated into multiple languages and released across dozens of countries. For a period of time, it seemed impossible to stop. But, of course, no toy stays on top forever. Unlike some childhood icons that collapsed because of a disastrous redesign or a failed sequel, Bop It's decline was much slower. The toy didn't crash, it simply lost the cultural moment that had made it special. Part of the challenge was the very thing that made it successful in the first place: simplicity. The basic gameplay was brilliant, but it was also difficult to evolve. No matter how many new commands were added, every version still relied on the same fundamental idea. And eventually, the surprise just wore off. Kids who had already mastered the game weren't always excited by another variation of the same experience. And at the same time, entertainment was changing rapidly. The late 1990s and early 2000s saw major advances in gaming technology. Consoles like the PlayStation and N64 offered deeper experiences and more sophisticated worlds. Soon after came handheld gaming systems, online multiplayer games, and eventually smartphones. Against that backdrop, Bop It faced a difficult challenge. It was competing for attention in a world where entertainment options were becoming almost limitless. Now, Hasbro continued trying to reinvent the brand. New editions introduced increasingly unusual commands and features. Later models added motion sensors, voice customization, and expanded gameplay options. In 2016, one version included commands like selfie it, comb it, and whip it in an effort to connect with a younger generation. And some of these updates worked reasonably well. Others felt like attempts to chase trends. But none of them recreated the magic of the original phenomenon. The toy remained successful enough to survive, yet it was no longer dominating conversations. Bop It transitioned from cultural event to nostalgic brand. And maybe that's actually exactly where it belonged. Because the real legacy of Bop It isn't found in sales numbers or product variations, it's found in memory. For millions of people, hearing those commands instantly transports them back to childhood, back to living rooms, back to sleepovers, back to long summer afternoons spent trying to beat a friend's high score. The toy represents a different era of entertainment, an era before social media, before smartphones lived in every pocket, before endless scrolling replaced face-to-face competition. Bop It was social by design. You passed it to the next player, you laughed when someone failed, you celebrated when somebody broke a record. It created moments that happened in real life rather than on a screen. And that legacy has endured far longer than anyone could have predicted. In fact, the toy's accessibility has given it an unexpected second life. Because Bop It relies heavily on sound and touch rather than visual cues, it has proven particularly useful for visually impaired players. Dan Klitzner later helped support initiatives that used specially adapted versions of the game to benefit blind and visually impaired children. It's a fitting legacy for a toy built around listening and reacting. So, did Bop It really fall? Well, in some ways, yes. The cultural dominance is gone, the massive craze faded, new generations have their own trends, their own gadgets, and their own obsessions. But unlike many forgotten toys, Bop It never truly disappeared. It evolved from a best-selling fad into something much more durable, a nostalgic icon. Today, the sound of those commands still sparks instant recognition. The toy remains one of the defining symbols of the late 90s childhood, remembered not because it was complicated, but because it was brilliantly simple.